Tippy Timey Damies, Top Cat here and welcome back to the channel. The Submergent is available to farm at Call to Arms for a few more days. I highly recommend seeing Dr. Salt and Pepper at the tower to target this crossbow. I've tried and tested every variation I could think of, as this exotic tier legendary has a serious multiple personality disorder. A lot of this is due to our bolt choices. In times past, the second column on our weapons was either filled with a lot of rubbish with one goat, like our rockets requiring impact induction and our grenade launchers requiring spike, but Bungo has done a decent job with the Submersion, offering an escalating damage throughout each variant, but with more utilities than an eco homesteader. Explosive bolt hits the lowest at 740, but it double yokes with delayed damage. Now, I kind of feel like I'm taking crazy pills here, as LightGG recommends this as the #1 option, but it can't be, surely, right? Like, the damage of it is the worst. And surely it can't be the bonus stat that gives us +2 ammo generation. The fact that we can recycle these bolts makes this stat more redundant than nipples on a dude. Spring Auger has a similar delayed explosion, but with most of it up front, doing a total of 761 damage. The heavy bolt is more affected by gravity, but will deliver more damage at 814. Serrated has a gnarly utility. We jab that bolt into their eye sockets. This is going to do a base 740 damage, and as we yank it out, it does 141 damage for a total of 881. Our charge bolt has the highest possible damage output. It hits 740. Then over the following seconds, it continues to deliver dot damage, totaling 911. Now, it's not just about the numbers. Each of these bolts have a certain utility to them, so there is 5 different combinations with the Submersion that I wanted to try out. The first being that headstone roll. We get a crit kill, it makes a little tombstone, so those bad dudes remember not to mess with us. I love some good headstone play, as we can go cover to cover, moving up the battlefield, like Elsa making our own ice palace. Now, as the headstone is created where that crit hit was, our bolts can often have 2 different interactions with them. Firstly, they can get spat up like she swallowed too deep, or the bolt can stick in thin air with that crystal formed around it. Both Explosive and Spring Auger work well here with our Stasis kits to aid in shattering our crystals. In this scenario, I like the ultralight rails with that massive handling bonus, so I can play cover to cover like a Hong Kong shooter. In this scenario, the crit kill is key, so I probably want something like No Distractions for that bonus 35 flinch resist whilst ADSing. Now, being a Stasis weapon, it's going to have some natural synergies with our Stasis subclass. I particularly like using it with the Balladors, as this gives our Stasis Rifts a Stasis Surge. Anytime when using that Stasis Rift, I love the Frost Pulse aspect. We do that Warlock Twirl. This icy pops all our foes within a 15 meter perimeter. Then we can easily crit kill to make that tombstone to hide behind. Remember, these headstones not only give us AoE effect damage, but they will also allow us to freeze other targets in close proximity. And when we shatter these, we can trigger those ice flare bolts to send out those seekers to freeze further targets, daisy chaining them up the battlefield. Now, the other, and I might argue the better Stasis perk on this weapon is Chill Clip. This slows targets if we have the top half of the magazine. As this has only 1 bolt in the mag, this means every bolt will slow and cause damage over time. Now, I want to be really clear here. Persistent stats don't increase the damage of our chill clip or our charged bolts. What they do increase is how long the bolts will stay on the ground, waiting for you to pick them up. At 20 stacks, they'll stick on the ground for around 25 seconds. And at 60 persistence, they are sticking around for around 40. Now, in Edge of Fate, of course, our bows are great anti-barrier weapons, but come Renegades, we'll be losing this. We'll also be losing that best damage mod of Temporal Blast, and we'll be losing that Argent Quiver for that 50% damage bonus. That said, this weapon still has that chill clip, so it's still going to be amazeballs against our Overload champions. Charge Bolt and chill clip both do dot damage. It works extremely good additionally when paired with Jolt, as we can one tap a champion and just walk away. It'll trigger further arc storms, zapping everything like an Alabama porch. We've got a couple of great exotics that can fuel into this. We've got that Gift of Conviction. I do hope one day Bungo remove the thumb from their bum and fix our lucky raspberry, as this is still not jolting correctly. And Titans do have those point contact cannon braces to make our ARP melees clap. I like frictionless rail here to boost both our reload and velocity. I'm ninja-like mobile with this chill charge cocktail, and this allows us to play like we did in D1, 360 no-scoping kids in trials with the no-land. As this kit is one hit walk away whilst that explosion goes off in the background behind you, like that action hero you are, I like lead from light in that second perk column, as I'm probably making orbs from my grenades, my melees or my reaper, so I can pick up those orbs for a special ammo progression. Now when I first heard of the Submersion, the bolt that got me the hottest was definitely that Serrated option. The notion of yanking those bolts out and causing more damage is just so damn visceral. Kinda like that first Ghost Crusher we done in Witch Queen campaign. It's just so much more satisfying than all the others when we get to watch it squirm. We also had that bolt scavenger perk, so when we recover a bolt, it's going to increase our reload speed and handling for a duration. And every time we pick up a further bolt, it extends this timer out to 15 seconds. This became a natural pairing for that Serrated. Serrated initially got me harder than an edgeless jigsaw puzzle, but sadly left me softer than the top of a baby's head. This is because we are using a heavy weapon that does do a lot of damage, and to get that no knock-up pull-out, it just needs to do more damage. There are a couple of orange bars and yellow bars in all my -30 tests that I managed to get the kill with that pullout, but 8 out of 10 times this left them finishable or required the third shot. It's also worth noting here that if you shoot more than one arrow with Serrated, the first arrow does that 141 damage, but every second and third arrow will actually do half of that. If it was me, Bungie, I would be buffing this bolt another 7 to 12% in damage so we can actually get that death animation on the yank out. Otherwise there's really no point in this bonus damage, as it requires you to get close enough to do the extra damage, but then you don't get the kill, so you're still in danger. Because of this, I'm currently double stacking on reload mod and masterwork, just in case you don't get that kill and accidentally poop your pants, you're ready with that follow-up shot. And I'll be using that frictionless rail for both reload and velocity. Now the best right hand perk I think is like a chain killing perk. High ground is good, but ideally I would like to use collective obligation. I know this perk isn't terribly popular, but I do think it is particularly strong when run with either an arc or stasis subclass. We all know how many shards we can create on a stasis kit. We use that whisper induction to track those shards to us, and on arc we've got aspects like electrostatic mind. All the subclasses have ionic traces available to them, so earning the damage buff isn't as difficult as one might think. We can just hook up that 20% damage bonus straight to our veins. We can rock an elemental charge mod to give us a stasis surge, making those pull out shatters more regular than brand cereal. And particularly on Hunter, it is quite nice when using the Mask of Baccharis, as we can do those dodges to get that easy stasis weapon surge. For our DPS options, I first wanted to take a look at firing line. It gives us a 10% handling bonus when we have 2 or more allies with us for a bit of sandwich action, and grants us a 20% weapon damage bonus. Whilst this isn't a massive damage bonus, it's easier than Donald Trump's cognitive test to activate. It works well, particularly when paired with a hierarchy user, so we can triple team that ring. Any bow fired through these rings are going to give us those Warmind missiles. I've seen a lot of recommendations that Impulse is the best left-hand perk to run for DPS. I disagree. I prefer Ensemble. This gives us 35 handling and 45 reload. I'm running both a reload mod and reload masterwork. You'll need to do so in order to use all your bolts in that well damaged window. With all these, I'm able to unload all my bolts whilst my man to the right here still has 3 left to fire. I recommend using the heavy bolts for DPS as it has the highest concentrated damage. I've got mag left for velocity as we've already got plenty of handling and reload. Our explosive test done earlier only done 30k damage. With firing line we pushed this up to 40k, but the real king here is going to be aggregate charge. This gives us 3 tiers of damage depending on our elemental debuff applied to our target. With 1 we get an 11% damage bonus, 2 we get a 22%, and 3 we get a 33%. If this is the route you wish to go down, have a little puppy powwow prior to your team setup. I highly recommend bringing yourself a warlock here. It's got that arcane needle. This is the perfect debuff as it will last the entire damage phase with those unravel particles. Bleak Watcher is decent. as it will consistently slow and shatter for 20 odd seconds. In Edge of Fate, our solar weapons like Hierarchy can scorch, but moving forwards, aspects like the Helion will go a long way to keep that target sizzling. This aggregate charge combo delivered 54,000 damage in our well window at -30. If I'm to line them all up in their swimsuits, we tested a well with galley and 2 rocket launchers. We used the folded root with cluster bipod, and this delivered 49k, meaning our rockets were bested by a primary and 2 heavies. Now that is objective, of course, as nearly every boss damage phase is different from one another, and it's all about bringing the right tools for the right job. If I was to pick one submersion roll to rule them all, and in the darkness bind them, I like Frictionless and Maglev, with a heavy bolt for DPS and charge bolt for dot damage. In the left, I'll be looking for Bolt Scavenger, Lead from Light and Ensemble, and in the right, Chill Clip, Aggregate Charge and Collective Action. This combination allows us to deal with hordes of adds, champions and boss kills. I would love to know what combos and cocktails out there you guys have been favouring. There's a lot of moving parts with this bow, and holler at me if there's any exotic armor pieces that you might think would work well with the bow. Make sure to thumb it if you dug it, sub if you're new, and as always, tippy tie my damies, what a tie.